Florida condos were once the crown jewel of the real estate market. Waterfront views, low maintenance, and booming rental demand made them irresistible to buyers from across the country. For years, prices soared, and investors treated Florida condos as a guaranteed bet for fast appreciation and easy rental income. But 2026 has changed everything. What was once considered stable is now under serious pressure. Across major Florida metros and even smaller coastal cities, condo prices are dropping faster than most people expected. And this isn't a slow, gradual decline. It's a correction fueled by high interest rates, over-leveraged buyers, oversupply, and a shift in migration patterns. Why now? Several factors collide. Rising mortgage rates have reduced affordability for first-time buyers. Investors are pulling out as rental yields flatten, and insurance premiums, especially for coastal properties, are climbing due to increased hurricane and flood risk. Many condos that sold for top dollar a few years ago are now losing value, and buyers who thought Florida was a safe haven are suddenly reconsidering. Another hidden factor: new construction saturation. During the pandemic boom, developers rushed to build thousands of units along beaches and urban centers, assuming migration would continue indefinitely. When the demand cooled, these units began competing directly with older properties, creating downward price pressure across entire neighborhoods. In this video, we'll break down the top 10 Florida cities where condo prices are crashing fast in 2026. Some are iconic coastal hotspots, others are inland markets that benefited from speculation. All share one thing in common: condo owners and investors need to act cautiously before these declines accelerate further. Before we dive in, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss critical updates about housing market shifts. Share this with anyone in Florida who owns a condo, is thinking of buying, or invests in real estate, because the trends we're about to cover could save thousands in losses. 1. Miami, Florida. Miami has long been the poster child for Florida condos. Waterfront views, luxury amenities, and international buyers drove prices sky high over the last decade. But in 2026, the Miami condo market is facing a significant correction, and the reasons are more complex than just high prices. The first major factor is over-leverage and affordability stress. During the pandemic boom, buyers stretched their budgets, banking on low interest rates and continuous appreciation. Now, with rates elevated, monthly payments have jumped, and affordability has dropped sharply. Many buyers who purchased in 2021 to 2022 are feeling the pinch, leading to increased listings and slower sales. Second, investor saturation has made the market fragile. Miami attracted countless out-of-state investors betting on short-term rentals and Airbnb-style income. In 2026, rental yields have flattened, expenses have risen, and investor exits have added inventory faster than buyers can absorb it. This has created downward pressure on prices, especially in high-density towers near downtown and South Beach. Another issue is insurance and hurricane risk. Coastal condos have seen insurance premiums soar due to rising hurricane risk, making carrying costs significantly higher than expected. Combined with high HOA fees and property taxes, monthly ownership costs have become unsustainable for many, pushing some to sell. New construction saturation amplifies the problem. Over the past 5 years, developers built thousands of high-rise units along Miami's waterfront. When demand slowed, these units began competing directly with older condos, pushing resale prices lower. Buyers now have more options, and sellers must reduce prices or offer incentives to move inventory. Finally, Miami's market is sensitive to migration patterns. While international buyers once buoyed the market, travel restrictions, currency fluctuations, and changing investment priorities have reduced foreign demand. Domestic buyers are also recalculating, particularly those who might have once considered Miami as a retirement or vacation destination. In 2026, Miami's condo market isn't collapsing overnight, but it's deflating steadily. Overvaluation, oversupply, investor exits, rising costs, and reduced foreign demand combine to create a precarious environment. Condo owners, investors, and potential buyers need to proceed cautiously. What once seemed like a guaranteed investment is now a market where timing and strategy matter more than ever. 2. Tampa, Florida. Tampa's condo market exploded over the last decade, fueled by migration from higher-cost metros, booming finance and tech sectors, and a surge in urban redevelopment. Luxury high-rises in downtown Tampa and along the waterfront were snapped up quickly. But by 2026, condo prices are cooling fast, and several warning signs are now impossible to ignore. The first red flag is price growth outpacing incomes. Median condo prices increased faster than local wages, and higher interest rates in 2026 have reduced affordability for first-time buyers and secondary home buyers. Homes that once sold in days now linger on the market for weeks, and price reductions are becoming standard rather than exceptional. Investor activity is another driver of market stress. Tampa attracted many short-term rental investors who assumed continued appreciation. With rental yields flattening and maintenance costs rising, investors are exiting, flooding the market with additional inventory. This adds downward pressure on both new and existing units. Insurance and hurricane risk also factor heavily. Waterfront and low-lying condos are facing rising premiums and stricter underwriting, making ownership more expensive. When combined with HOA fees and property taxes, monthly costs have jumped, pricing out many potential buyers. New construction saturation is now creating direct competition. Developers built thousands of units across downtown and riverfront neighborhoods. When demand slowed, these units forced existing condos to reduce prices. Incentives like free upgrades or rate buydowns are now common, further pressuring resale markets. Finally, Tampa's market is sensitive to migration shifts and investor sentiment. Buyers who migrated during the pandemic boom are reevaluating. Some are selling to lock in gains, while others delay purchases, reducing demand and slowing turnover. In 2026, Tampa's condo market is not collapsing in dramatic fashion, but it's correcting quickly. Oversupply, rising costs, investor exits, and affordability constraints are reshaping the market. Condo owners and potential buyers must act strategically, as the days of guaranteed appreciation and effortless cash flow are over. 3. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Fort Lauderdale's condo market has long been synonymous with beachfront luxury. High-rise towers, waterfront views, and international demand created a boom that seemed unstoppable. But in 2026, cracks are appearing, and condo prices are falling faster than many expected. The first major issue is overvaluation. During the last decade, condo prices surged well beyond local income growth. Buyers stretched their budgets, assuming continuous appreciation and low interest rates. Today, with rates elevated, affordability has dropped dramatically. Many potential buyers are priced out, leaving homes unsold for longer periods and forcing sellers to reduce prices to attract attention. Investor saturation is another critical factor. Fort Lauderdale attracted countless out-of-state investors betting on vacation rentals and short-term income. With rental yields flattening and operating costs rising, investors are exiting the market. Their properties flood the resale market, increasing inventory and accelerating downward price pressure. Insurance costs are also taking a toll. Coastal properties face rising hurricane and flood premiums, which, combined with HOA fees and property taxes, make monthly ownership significantly more expensive than buyers anticipated. These costs are now forcing some owners to sell, adding to market stress. New construction oversupply compounds the problem. Developers built thousands of units along the beachfront and downtown areas. With demand slowing, resale condos now compete directly with brand new inventory offering incentives such as rate buydowns or free upgrades. This increases downward pressure across the entire market, not just new units. Migration patterns are shifting as well. International buyers, once a major pillar of Fort Lauderdale's condo demand, have reduced their activity due to currency fluctuations, travel restrictions, and changing investment priorities. Domestic buyers, facing higher interest rates and monthly costs, are hesitant to purchase, creating a double squeeze on demand. Fort Lauderdale's market isn't collapsing overnight, but the combination of overvaluation, oversupply, investor exits, rising insurance, and shifting demand is creating a fragile environment. Condo owners, investors, and potential buyers must approach with caution in 2026. What once felt like a guaranteed investment is now a market that requires strategy, patience, and timing. 4. West Palm Beach, Florida. West Palm Beach was long considered a stronghold for Florida condos. Waterfront living, luxury amenities, and a thriving social scene drew buyers from across the country. Yet in 2026, condo prices in the area are under serious pressure, and the market is beginning to correct rapidly. The first major concern is affordability. Condo prices in West Palm Beach surged faster than local wages over the past decade. Elevated interest rates in 2026 have reduced purchasing power, leaving many buyers unable to compete. Homes that once sold quickly are now lingering on the market, and sellers are offering discounts and incentives to attract attention. Investor saturation compounds the problem. many condos were purchased by investors seeking short-term rental income. With rental yields plateauing and maintenance costs rising, investors are exiting the market, adding inventory and driving prices down further. Insurance premiums for coastal condos have skyrocketed, particularly in waterfront communities, making ownership more expensive than many anticipated. Combined with rising property taxes and HOA fees, the cost of carrying a condo is significantly higher than just a few years ago, pushing some owners to sell. New construction is another pressure point. Developers flooded the market with units in high-demand areas, expecting continuous in-migration and rising demand. With sales slowing, new units compete directly with resale condos, creating downward pressure on all properties. Incentives such as closing cost coverage or rate buydowns have become common, further affecting resale values. Finally, migration patterns are shifting. While West Palm Beach benefited from buyers fleeing northern states during the pandemic, some of this demand is cooling. Domestic buyers are recalculating affordability, while foreign buyers have pulled back due to currency fluctuations and travel restrictions. West Palm Beach is not collapsing dramatically, but its condo market is under clear stress. Oversupply, rising costs, investor exits, and cooling demand are creating a fragile environment. In 2026, condo owners, investors, and potential buyers must proceed carefully. What once seemed like a bulletproof investment now requires caution, strategy, and close attention to market trends. 5. Sarasota, Florida. Sarasota has long been a haven for retirees, vacation buyers, and investors looking for beachfront condos. With pristine beaches, cultural amenities, and a reputation for upscale living, the city experienced a condo boom over the past decade. But in 2026, Sarasota is showing clear signs of market stress, and condo prices are beginning to decline at a notable pace. The first major factor is overvaluation relative to income. Condo prices surged faster than local wages, fueled by migration from northern states and investors seeking appreciation. Elevated mortgage rates in 2026 have reduced affordability, leaving many buyers sidelined. As a result, homes that once sold quickly are now staying on the market longer, and sellers are increasingly offering price reductions to attract buyers. Investor saturation adds pressure. Many condos were purchased as short-term rentals, assuming continued strong demand. With rents flattening and operating costs rising, investors are pulling out. Their properties flood the market, increasing inventory and driving prices down further. Insurance and hurricane risk compound the problem. Waterfront condos now carry higher premiums due to storm exposure, and rising HOA fees add to monthly costs. For many buyers and owners, carrying costs have become unsustainable, prompting more listings and downward price pressure. New construction oversupply is another key issue. Developers built hundreds of units in high-demand areas, assuming migration would continue unabated. Now, resale properties compete directly with brand-new units offering incentives, such as closing cost assistance or upgraded finishes. This further suppresses pricing for existing condos. Finally, migration trends are shifting. While Sarasota benefited from northern buyers during the pandemic, that influx is slowing. Foreign buyers are also less active due to currency fluctuations and economic uncertainty. With fewer buyers in the market, the correction is accelerating. In 2026, Sarasota's condo market isn't collapsing in dramatic fashion, but it's softening steadily. Overvaluation, oversupply, rising costs, investor exits, and shifting migration patterns have created a fragile environment. Buyers, sellers, and investors must act strategically or risk losses as the market continues its adjustment. 6. Fort Myers, Florida. Fort Myers has long been a hotspot for affordable coastal condos, attracting retirees, vacation buyers, and investors seeking high yields. However, in 2026, the condo market here is under significant pressure, and prices are beginning to decline across multiple segments. The first red flag is affordability stress. During the past decade, condo prices in Fort Myers climbed rapidly, outpacing local incomes. Elevated mortgage rates in 2026 have reduced buying power, sidelining many potential purchasers. Condos that once sold in days now sit on the market for weeks, forcing sellers to consider price reductions. Investor saturation is a major contributing factor. Fort Myers attracted short-term rental investors during the boom years, assuming strong returns and appreciation. With rental yields flattening and maintenance costs rising, many investors are selling, adding to the inventory and accelerating downward price pressure. Insurance and coastal risk are also key issues. Properties near the waterfront carry higher premiums due to storm exposure, and rising HOA fees further increase monthly carrying costs. For many, these additional expenses have become a deciding factor to sell or delay purchases. New construction oversupply amplifies the problem. Developers built hundreds of new condos in high-demand areas, assuming continued migration. These units now compete directly with older condos, often offering incentives like free upgrades or closing cost assistance, pushing resale prices lower. Migration patterns are shifting. While Fort Myers benefited from buyers leaving northern states during the pandemic, that flow is slowing. International buyers, once a strong force, are also less active due to currency fluctuations and travel restrictions. The result? Lower demand and softer pricing. Fort Myers is not collapsing overnight, but its condo market is clearly under stress. Overvaluation, oversupply, rising costs, investor exits, and cooling migration have created a fragile environment. Buyers, sellers, and investors must approach cautiously in 2026 as the market continues to adjust to these structural pressures. 7. Naples, Florida. Naples has long been one of Florida's most prestigious condo markets. High-end waterfront towers, luxury amenities, and an influx of affluent buyers made it a symbol of stability and wealth. However, 2026 has exposed serious vulnerabilities, and condo prices are declining in ways that even seasoned investors didn't anticipate. The first major factor is overvaluation relative to local income. Naples condos appreciated rapidly during the last decade, fueled by buyers from northern states and international investors chasing a coastal lifestyle. Median condo prices have far outpaced local incomes, making affordability a challenge for new buyers. Elevated mortgage rates in 2026 have exacerbated the problem, reducing buying power and leaving many units sitting unsold for longer periods. Sellers, in turn, are offering discounts or incentives to attract buyers, creating downward pressure across the market. Investor activity is another critical factor. Naples has long attracted buyers seeking short-term rental income or speculative appreciation. With rental yields flattening and operating costs, insurance, HOA fees, and maintenance rising, investors are beginning to exit the market. Their units flood the resale inventory, further pressuring prices. Insurance costs and storm risk are also key contributors. Naples, being a coastal city, faces high hurricane exposure. Premiums for waterfront condos have increased sharply in 2026, making monthly carrying costs significantly higher than what buyers anticipated. Combined with rising property taxes, these expenses have prompted some owners to sell, increasing supply and accelerating price declines. New construction oversupply amplifies the issue. Developers built multiple luxury towers during the boom years, expecting continuous migration and robust demand. Now, these new units are competing directly with resale condos, often offering incentives like rate buydowns or upgraded finishes. This creates additional downward pressure on older units, making the market more competitive and volatile. Demographic and migration shifts are another stress point. While Naples benefited from an influx of retirees and affluent buyers during the pandemic, that growth has slowed. Some buyers are relocating to other states with lower costs or shorter commutes to business hubs. International buyers, who were previously a major pillar of the market, are also less active due to economic uncertainty and currency fluctuations. Finally, local economic sensitivity plays a role. Naples relies heavily on tourism, hospitality, and luxury service sectors. Any economic slowdown affects buyer confidence and local spending, which in turn impacts condo demand. In 2026, Naples is not collapsing dramatically, but the market is clearly correcting. Overvaluation, oversupply, investor exits, rising insurance costs, and slower migration have combined to create a fragile environment. Condo owners, investors, and potential buyers must proceed with caution and strategy, as this once bulletproof market adjusts rapidly. 8. Pompano Beach, Florida. Pompano Beach, located just north of Fort Lauderdale, experienced explosive condo growth over the past decade. Waterfront towers, beach access, and urban redevelopment made it a magnet for investors and second home buyers. But by 2026, the condo market here is under pressure, and price corrections are accelerating. The The first key factor is rapid appreciation, disconnected from local income. Condos in Pompano Beach surged in value during the boom, outpacing household income growth. Elevated mortgage rates in 2026 reduced affordability, leaving many potential buyers unable to compete. Homes that once sold in days are now lingering for weeks, forcing sellers to reduce prices or offer incentives. Investor saturation compounds the problem. Many units were purchased for short-term rental income or speculative appreciation. With rental yields flattening and expenses rising, insurance, HOA fees, and maintenance, investors are beginning to exit the market. Their units flood the resale inventory, increasing competition and accelerating price declines. Insurance premiums are another critical stressor. Coastal properties face high hurricane and flood exposure, and premiums have risen sharply. Combined with rising property taxes and HOA fees, monthly costs are now significantly higher than buyers anticipated, leading to further sales and downward price pressure. New construction oversupply amplifies the decline. Developers built numerous towers assuming continuous migration and robust demand. Now, new units compete directly with older condos, often offering incentives such as free upgrades, closing cost contributions, or rate buydowns. Resale units are forced to match these offers, creating downward pricing pressure across neighborhoods. Migration trends are also shifting. While Pompano Beach benefited from northern buyers during the pandemic, that flow has slowed. Domestic buyers are recalculating affordability, and international investors are less active due to currency fluctuations and travel restrictions. Local economic dependence is another factor. Pompano Beach relies heavily on tourism, hospitality, and service sectors. Any slowdown in these industries reduces buyer confidence and local purchasing power, indirectly affecting condo demand. Pompano Beach's market isn't collapsing overnight, but in 2026, it's under clear stress. Overvaluation, oversupply, rising costs, investor exits, and cooling migration have combined to create a fragile environment. Buyers, sellers, and investors need to proceed cautiously and strategically. What was once considered a booming, stable condo market is now a softening, competitive, and high-risk environment. 9. Clearwater, Florida. Clearwater has long been a favorite for retirees and vacationers, offering white sand beaches, waterfront condos, and a relaxed Florida lifestyle. Over the past decade, condo prices surged as buyers from across the U.S. and international markets sought affordable coastal properties. But in 2026, Clearwater's condo market is facing mounting pressures, and prices are beginning to soften. One major factor is affordability stress. Condo prices rose faster than local incomes, and elevated mortgage rates in 2026 have reduced buyers' purchasing power. Homes that previously sold quickly now sit on the market longer, forcing sellers to offer discounts and incentives to attract interest. Investor activity is another significant factor. Many condos were purchased for short-term rental income or speculative appreciation. With rental yields flattening and maintenance, insurance, and HOA fees rising, investors are exiting, increasing inventory, and putting further downward pressure on prices. Insurance costs are also contributing to the correction. Coastal properties face higher premiums due to flood and hurricane risk, making ownership more expensive than many buyers anticipated. When combined with property taxes and HOA fees, carrying costs become a critical factor, prompting some owners to sell. New construction oversupply amplifies the issue. Developers built numerous units along the waterfront and near downtown, assuming continued demand. Now, these new condos compete directly with older properties, creating additional downward price pressure. Incentives like closing cost assistance and upgraded finishes are standard, reducing resale values across the market. Finally, migration trends are shifting. While Clearwater benefited from buyers leaving northern states during the pandemic, that inflow has slowed. Domestic buyers are recalculating affordability, and international buyers are less active due to currency fluctuations and economic uncertainty. Clearwater's condo market is not collapsing overnight, but in 2026, it's softening steadily. Overvaluation, oversupply, rising costs, investor exits, and shifting demand have combined to create a fragile environment. Buyers, sellers, and investors must act strategically to navigate the market successfully. 10. St. Petersburg, Florida. St. Petersburg has long been known for its vibrant downtown, art scene, and waterfront condos. Over the last decade, condo prices soared as buyers from northern states and investors sought Florida coastal living. But by 2026, the St. Petersburg condo market is under significant pressure, and prices are beginning to decline. The first major factor is overvaluation relative to income. Condo prices increased faster than local wages, and elevated mortgage rates in 2026 have limited affordability. Buyers who once dominated the market are now sidelined, forcing homes to remain on the market longer and pushing sellers to offer price reductions. Investor saturation adds further stress. Many condos were purchased for rental income or speculative appreciation, with rental yields flattening and costs rising. Insurance, HOA fees, and maintenance. Investors are selling, increasing inventory, and putting downward pressure on the market. Insurance premiums are a key factor. Waterfront condos carry higher hurricane and flood risk, and rising premiums increase monthly costs for buyers. When combined with property taxes and HOA fees, carrying costs have become unsustainable for some, prompting additional sales and downward pricing pressure. New construction oversupply compounds the problem. Developers built high-rise units expecting continued migration and robust demand. Now, resale units compete with new inventory offering incentives like upgrades or closing cost assistance, pushing prices down across the market. Migration patterns are shifting as well. While St. Petersburg benefited from northern buyers during the pandemic, that trend is slowing. Domestic and international buyer activity has decreased, reducing demand and softening prices further. St. Petersburg's condo market isn't collapsing dramatically, but in 2026 it's clearly under stress. Oversupply, overvaluation, rising costs, investor exits, and shifting demand have combined to create a fragile environment. Buyers, sellers, and investors must proceed cautiously to navigate the market safely. The Florida condo market in 2026 is sending a clear warning. From Miami to St. Petersburg, these cities are experiencing significant price corrections due to overvaluation, oversupply, rising insurance and HOA costs, investor exits, and cooling migration. What once felt like a guaranteed investment is now a fragile, unpredictable market. If you own a condo, are thinking of buying, or invest in Florida real estate, knowledge is your best defense. Understanding which markets are most at risk and why can save you thousands in potential losses. Ignoring these trends could mean being caught off guard by price drops, rising carrying costs, or extended time on the market. Here's what you need to do right now. Hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss critical updates on Florida's housing market. Share this video with friends, family, or fellow investors who might be affected. And comment below. Which Florida city's condo market do you think will see the biggest correction, and where would you buy cautiously instead? Remember, the Florida condo market isn't collapsing overnight, but the correction is real and ongoing. Stay informed, act strategically, and don't wait for headlines to tell you the story. Subscribe, share, and stay ahead of the trends in 2026.